Good time of day, guys. My name is Godzi, and welcome back to another episode of Higurashi When They Cry, Ch.8 Matsuribayashi. Last episode, we completed a lot of fragments. We completed 6 of them. Basically getting all the basis of the 4th year, as well as a little after that. So, that was cool. We did Footsteps in the 4th year, which I think was here. Yeah, which was mostly just Satoshi talking about footsteps following him. We did Formation of a Club, which was, well, exactly as the name suggests. We got a Notice of Leave of Absence, where Satoshi basically quit the baseball team, saying he's starting a part-time job, and he got a baseball bat. Then we did Death of Satoshi's Aunt, which was him killing Tamai. We did the 4th Sacrifice, which was, well, Satoshi being brought to the clinic, and we did a preview of Lots for Sale, which was, Keiichi's dad, Ichiro, just going and being like, "Hey, little kid's playing. Nice village. I want house." So, yeah, but another episode of Sotsu has aired, so it is time to talk about that. So we're gonna go into spoiler time. If you don't want spoilers through episode 14 of Sotsu, then this is the time when you should mute. So let's do this. I don't know how long this will take, but yeah. Alright, welcome aboard the spoiler time train. I want to start this by amending something that I said last episode, which was me basically being like, oh, Satoko didn't kill Kimiyoshi or Keiichi at the end of their Nekodamashi fragments or whatever the fuck, where she made them go crazy. So is it because it was just convenient for her not to? Or was it because, oh, well, they're like family to me. I could never kill them. And I was thinking it'd be more interesting if it was the second one, but no, obviously not. Because of one pretty big factor that I was forgetting, at least with Keiichi. Kimiyoshi, I don't friggin' know. But he was also not at all a danger to Satoko at that point. Satoko beat Keiichi to near death in Tatari Akashi. So, yeah, I think I was wrong there. And I completely forgot about that, so that's my bad. Anyways, now to discuss the actual episode, which was fucking chaotic, and I don't really know where to start. So, I guess I'll just kind of start from the beginning by pointing out something that I thought was funny. The payoff for the end of Nekodamashi was kind of minimal, I want to say. Like, specifically that fragment. I was thinking that Satoko would go on this whole rant and just explain what the fuck she's been doing, while aiming the gun at Rika. But instead, no. We just got an admittedly cool scene of the camera rotating around the main 5 as Satoko shoots Rika and then herself. If nothing else, the presentation in Go and Sotsu has been really fucking good. Even if some of the story beats are odd. But, oh well. Yeah. So then we get the shonen fight scene, which I'm not gonna lie, I think it was really good. I think it was really cool. It was really cool to see. The reason I bring it up, though, isn't because there's anything I can pull out of my ass about it, except until later. I'm just gonna go in order of what I wrote down. I want to talk about people who I saw on Twitter and Mao complaining about it. So I'm just gonna read what I wrote on my script word for word instead of paraphrasing it. I've seen people complain about it, saying that it's too sudden, as if When They Cry is a stranger to shonen battles at all. Kekkonia is full of them, because fighting is the entire basis of Kekkonia, and Umineko has them from as early on as the 2nd arc. So, yeah, and huge chunks of the 4th and 6th arcs are our shonen battles. So, Higurashi only has a few, admittedly, but literally the most recognizable one was referenced in this fight between Satoko and Rika, the fight between Keiichi and Rena in Sumihoroboshi. So anyone saying that this shonen fight came out of nowhere is either stupid or hasn't been paying attention. That or they started with Go and Sotsu, so they just don't know any better. So I also want to bring up people saying that this fight was childish, since the motivations basically stem from a conflict between wanting to go to a gaudy school and not wanting to study. But, bro, hear me out. This is literally a conflict between children. Of course it's gonna be childish. Sure, they've been alive for over a century each, but neither of them physically developed past, like, what, 10th grade? So neither knows what it's like to be over the age of 15 or maybe 16. That's why Keiichi, Rena, Mion, and Shion still had relevance to resolving the conflicts in the original, because they were older than Rika. They had more and different life experiences in their actual physical life, even though they haven't been looping for a fucking century. They don't know, so Satoko and Rika don't know how to solve problems like adults, so they're just beating the shit out of each other with these crazy supernatural powers that were given to them in vulnerable moments. So, yeah, the conflict is childish because they are children. And the shonen battle did not come out of nowhere because they've been in the series the whole time. So yeah. Now to break script and talk about something that I kind of want to pull shit out of my ass for is something that I was kind of weirded out by. The part where Satoko and Rika are emulating Keiichi and Rena's fight. I might just be reading too much into this as usual, but I think giving Satoko Keiichi's weapon and giving Rika Rena's weapon is an interesting narrative choice. Because in their fight in Sumihoroboshi, Keiichi was the one trying to bring his friend back to her senses, while Rena was trying to kill her friend due to her own hysteria. So in more blunt terms, Keiichi was sane, and Rena was misled into insanity. So I'm not saying that the weapons between Satoko and Rika should be swapped, because I think it still wouldn't make narrative sense that way, but I do think that there would have to be a reason to give them that parallel, beyond it just looks cool, or the bat was Satoshi's, so Satoko has it, and Rika and Rena both start with R. So, for a possible narrative explanation for it other than it looks cool or patterns, is I can think of two reasons. So one, Satoko thinks she's in the right, and so she's actually trying to bring Rika to her senses through some club-like activity, while Rika is more just fighting in a blind rage after learning that her friend was torturing her across several fragments. The other option, number two, is that I think it's more meant to imply character connections between Satoko and Keiichi and Rika and Rena, but that just hasn't been established yet. Whether they're their respective pieces or what, you know? I think it's just a weird parallel that feels intentional but might just not be. I think it's more likely the former, that Satoko's actually trying to bring Rika back to her senses. But I don't freaking know. Clearly Satoko's not doing a great job at that. So, yeah. The last thing that I want to specifically mention, and this is gonna sound stupid, but hear me out for a second. Satoko chose the trick ending. You know it's true. I say this more metaphorically, but I feel like with the Go arcs versus the Sotsu arcs, minus Satokowashi and Kagurashi, they're more the magic explanation and the trick explanation, the way I see it at least. Because in Rika's perspective, everything that's going on makes zero sense, while in Satoko's, everything down to the minute details are explained. So, from saying that, I think how this is going to end is that Rika is going to quote-unquote find love and accept Satoko for what she did. Now, I don't love the idea of creating a parallel between the fragments Satoko fucked up and the stories that Yasu wrote, but I can accept it. I just feel like we're suddenly getting a lot of parallels between Satoko and Rika's conflict and Beatrice and Batwers. So I also then want to bring up, I didn't write about this, but if Keiichi, Rena, Mion, and Shion don't have a bigger role outside of the literal immediate conclusion next episode, I'm gonna be a little salty. Because they've like, the OP sets up this whole thing with Satoko running and then, like, reaching out towards her friends, and she's just confronted with, like, these dark visions of Keiichi, Rena, Mion, and Shion, who she's been torturing through these worlds that she's been creating, like, as a byproduct of her actual mission, and she's gonna have to confront what she did to them. But no, it seems so far like unless they literally introduce and resolve that conflict in one episode, it's either not going to be something they do or there's going to be more episodes. Which brings me to my final thing, which is definitely a stretch. October 4th and 5th are coming up. Maybe something? I don't fucking know. I'm probably wrong, but who knows? That'd be cool. So, yeah, that's all I have to say. I'm gonna minimize this, and we're going to get back to it. Welcome back, guys! It is time. I've been told that I should be able to get through the rest of these fragments in one episode. How less than an episode? So, sure. Let's see. Because the only fragment left that I know I can do for sure, well, I can probably do this, because we should have the teddy bear. We can't do this one yet, but at this point, I think we can just do them in order. So, number 40, Keiichi Mayabara. Been a while, time for the fucking ice-chomping leader of the fucking, what are they called? The Yiga. Keiichi. This is the school? Sheesh, this really is the sticks. Keiichi, don't say stuff like that. The people in this area love coming here. That was my first impression of the Hinamizawa branch school. No matter how I look at it, it doesn't look like a school at all. It even has a sign that says Hinamizawa Forestry Service. You're right. We're borrowing the building from the Forestry Service, said the man they called the principal as he laughed heartily. Although it doesn't look like it, it is in fact the school. I think this is the first time Ch.8 shown up in a fragment. The rules may be a little different from the one you went to previously, though. Are you okay with that? Yes. I heard all the grades are put in the same classroom at this school. I didn't believe it, but I think it really is true. They're all younger than I am, so I guess it'll be like kindergarten. Though it'll be interesting compared to my previous school where everyone looked the same age. If you transfer here, you will be the oldest boy in the class. So you'll have to be a good role model for the younger students. The younger students have the tendency to copy bad habits from the older ones. I'll be keeping my eyes on you too, so make sure you're aware of that, okay? I understand. I'll do my best. Keiichi? What she means is that the textbooks aren't the only things you learn from. As a member of the class and also as an older student, you have to be a good example. I know that already! After that, Chie-sensei brought us to an empty classroom and showed me where my desk would be. Since we're all still growing, I'm sure our sizes are very different. There are some desks that are way too small for me to even put my legs under, and some that are just perfect for me. There are approximately 30 desks in here, but since all the different grades are in the same room, I'm sure it's very lively. There's also a wall full of calligraphy and art from different grades. It's all pretty exciting, nothing like my previous school. It reminds me of the days when I truly enjoyed my school life. Dad, I like it here. I like this school better than the other one in the town. I think my son likes it here, considering he just said that he does. I want him to go to this school, too. I see. The school in Okinomiya has more resources and better teachers, though. Even while saying that, Chie-sensei looked happy to hear that a new student would be transferring into her class. My father and the teachers went back to the teacher's office to get the transfer process going. In the meantime, I decided to stay in the classroom and look around. I didn't care about the move. I'd lost the will to live because of what I did. I didn't have any willpower, and I couldn't even get out of bed. So when my parents told me about the move, I thought that wouldn't change anything. But after the move, something did change. I want to restart my life. I want to restart my life and become someone I've always wanted to be. Here in Hinamizawa and at this school, I can do that. I'm not going back to who I was. I'll never again think that good grades are the most important thing in this world. I have a feeling that I can learn the things that are really important in life here at this school. I never had the chance to learn them before now. It's almost embarrassing to put into words, but they're extremely valuable things. And if you don't learn them, you won't become a decent adult. The students at this school learned them a long time ago. To them, they're a given. Yet, I have to spend time learning about them even at this age. How to make friends. How to play with friends. To play. Things you can only learn from play. Things like socializing with others, etc., etc. It seems so easy, but it'll take me a while to learn them. I pushed those things aside and devoted myself to studying. I'm not trying to say studying isn't important, but you shouldn't become blinded by it. If someone says studying and good grades are the most important things in life, he's talking bullshit. So I can restart my life here at this school. Finally, I can become someone I've always wanted to be. I noticed two girls looking in at me through the window. The schoolyard must also be a playground for these children, because I saw a lot of them playing there earlier. I guess those two noticed me walking around the classroom and became curious. I guess that's natural. I'm a stranger to them. Should I say hello and let them know that I'm starting school next Monday?
Finally. We've been waiting for so long.
Yeah. Oh, and it's Hanyu again. So, I was told in the comments there's no explanation for why Ichiro can see Hanyu, but oh well.
Ow. This will change things. Because Keiichi is the 6 on the die.
Yes, he is. But his die rolls a 1 far too often.
Ow. That's not Keiichi's fault, though.
It's all your fault, Hanyu. It's because of you. Apologize to Keiichi.
Ow.
Eh? Do you know my name? She said my name, didn't she? Did I hear her wrong? I've never met her before.
Nipa, are you a new student?
Eh? Nice to meet you. I'm Keiichi Matsuribayashi. I'm starting next Monday. Take care of me, okay?
Ow. Sure thing. Here's a message for you, Keiichi, from the Shrine Maiden of the Furude Shrine. On your first day, be careful when you come through the door to the classroom. Also, there will be a thumbtack on the back of your chair. There will be a toy frog in your desk, too. That part somehow matters, I guess. But even with this warning, you fall for it again and again. Your Monday is going to be disastrous. Poor Keiichi. That's why it's fun. Why don't you try overcoming that fate sometime? You'll be the one to teach us that. In one of the many worlds, right? Huh? I'll be reminded of the prophecy made by two girls next Monday, because of the actions of a snaggle-toothed girl. I'll realize it too late, though. But I like it here. My name is Keiichi Matsuribayashi. This is my new beginning, and this time I'm going to enjoy it to the fullest. I've been missing out on so much, but I'm going to learn all of those things here. I'm going to absorb all of it. And I'll become someone I've always wanted to become. It may take a very long time, but I'll definitely do it. Alright, cool. So that was obviously Keiichi transferring schools. And at this point, I'm not sure it really matters if I write down anything. I think I misspelled transferring. Oh shit, background's different again. I guess because we're through 40 now.
Alright, let us save. Badoop. Alright. So, on to page 6. Guess we'll start with this one. June 1983. Ah, fuck! Seriously? I guess that means we don't have Takano's revenge? Shit, man. Wow. All those different times that I thought we had Takano's revenge, and we don't. Wow. Alright, then I guess we're doing an invitation to an end. Yep. An invitation to an end. Grandfather's articles were trampled on. We have proof as clear as the pathogen causing Hinamizawa syndrome. So why can't they believe in its life cycle? Because they've never heard of that before? Because they can't imagine it? Because there's no way something so absurd could be true? Don't tell me that I can't bring myself to care about the limits of those commoners' understanding. Why can't anyone believe the truth of my grandfather's article, which has been proven by the Irie Institute? Why do people continue to believe that humans are a special existence? Humans are simply a species of animal, and the rain is loud. When various parasites that control their animal hosts exist, how can people declare parasites that use humans as their hosts don't? Wait, this isn't the problem. Not at all. Because everyone believed my grandfather's article up until now. Isn't that why the Ministry of Health and the Defense Agency lent me their assistance? But out of nowhere, they turned cold. In other words, every bit of their help was because Uncle Koizumi had my back. So nobody actually read my grandfather's article? Did they just pretend to in order to make Uncle Koizumi happy? What is the meaning of everything I've done up until today? I thought I'd achieved something, but what have I really accomplished? I don't know what's going on, and all I can do is wallow in grief. The more I think about it, the more I no longer understand the meaning of my own life. Didn't Mio Takano devote her life to being useful for her grandfather? Then I haven't done anything for him at all. Count 3 with my grandfather, and I go on to count 4. What a crazy thing to say. No. If I let my mind wander, doubt about myself and my life will slip in. So I'm just going to fill the gap in my heart with alcohol. Great. Is it that strange to presume the existence of something that can influence human thoughts? It's true that Hinamizawa syndrome isn't the actual cause of ideology. The best it can do is drive people mad. Socialism or capitalism doesn't originate with it. Yo. In the era my grandfather was living, you couldn't talk about the world without ideology. The article came from that time and age, so some of its inferences, may be exaggerated or biased, but that's no reason to deny its foresight. You can't simply say it's crazy and push it aside. Besides, the most important thing they ignored is the fact that Rika Furude, the Queen Carrier, holds the fate of the village in her hands. My grandfather had predicted the importance and danger of the Queen Carrier since beginning his research on Hinamizawa syndrome. But the hypothesis of the infected community collapsing into madness if the Queen Carrier dies is a Pandora's box that can't be proven. It can only be confirmed after Rika Furude's death, and if she dies, it'll be too late. But there's no mistake that Rika Furude is the Queen Carrier, and a very special existence. It's clear from the various experiments we've performed that she has a special influence on the infected villagers. Her death really could trigger the collapse of the entire village. That's no mistake. My grandfather predicted it. To say all of that sounds like a comic book, it's just too cruel. For them to call the various preparations we've made to protect her a fictional project that was used to tunnel funds. What I'm doing now is simply what my grandfather was going to do. Therefore, insulting my research is the same as insulting my grandfather. According to my grandfather's article, The first thing that needs to be done when researching the syndrome is to protect the Queen Carrier. Yet they ridiculed that more than anything else. The more I think about it, the more their words stick in my memory. I can almost hear their voices, and I can't stop myself from covering my ears. I'm sure the members of the board of directors think I'm crazy. I was trying to petition for the Irie Institute to not be shut down, but it backfired. The members must think that Hinamizawa syndrome is some kind of joke, and I'm sure they'll push even harder now to put a stop to our research. If that happens, I would have to go back to researching as an individual. In other words, the same as what my grandfather did. There's a limit to what an individual can do. It's doubtful if I would even be able to go back to researching it individually. Once the Irie Institute is disbanded, everyone is obligated to keep it confidential until we die. I signed a contract to that extent. That's not just a simple promise. If I were to break it, a special unit like the Mountain Dogs would come after me to ensure that I keep everything confidential. Even if that doesn't happen, the Irie Institute is to eradicate the syndrome within a few years, and to bury every trace of it, including the results of our research. This isn't the normal process of research and treatment. They want to pretend nothing ever happened to begin with. I wanted to continue and complete my grandfather's work, but what's happening now will result in the complete opposite. I'm actually hoping to eliminate my grandfather's hard-earned research from this world. A treatment has been created already. Although Irie is as passionate as I am about developing a cure, he's not particularly interested in any other aspect of our research. I hate to admit it, but he has more experience and talent than I do. I'm sure he'll come up with a plan for eradicating Hinamizawa syndrome within 3 years, as requested by the new board of directors. And that board of directors will provide just enough funds to bury the syndrome. Irie will do that happily. Just like the time when you disposed of all the research data on test medicine H170 as was requested. All I can do is to passively hinder them, just like they did me, while watching the Hinamizawa syndrome get eradicated. And when everything is over, I will finally complete an article which is destined to be destroyed. Should I kill myself with thoughts of it in my head so I can at least present the article to my grandfather? He won't be happy even if I did that. On the contrary, he'll be disappointed in me for throwing the research he spent half of his life on down the drain. He won't embrace me, I know that for sure. I wanted to reveal Hinamizawa syndrome to the world. I wanted the world to acknowledge my grandfather's masterpiece. I wanted to carve his name in history, and promote him to a god. My grandfather waited, believing that day would come, and he must be patiently waiting still, even after entering his eternal sleep. But I ruined it. I wanted him to become a god. I was going to become a god myself, too. Then we will be together forever, and I'll never have to be alone. If I become a god, God won't test me. There won't be any unhappiness. There won't be a sudden train accident. My grandfather won't go away, nor will Uncle Koizumi. I'll never have to go back to being alone. I am alone. I have no allies. I was just dancing in ecstasy on a stage without anybody watching. I had only just realized that there was no applause, but only ridicule. No, it's doubtful that there was actually anyone in the audience to begin with. My parents died, my grandfather died, and then Uncle Koizumi died. 3 times had God toyed with me with their rolls of the dice. I thought I overcame each of those trials with my own strength, but I didn't. I was protected by a new guardian each time. And this time, I have no guardians left to protect me. When I first arrived in Hinamizawa, I had every intention of challenging God and kicking him off of his throne. But now, forget challenging God. I'm just a loser being played with. I suddenly can't find it within myself to care about anything. Because if I cared, I'd be swallowed by sadness. Soaking my heart in alcohol is all I can do to forget about everything.
A luxurious black car abruptly stopped next to me. I became sober immediately, as cars like that remind me of the time when I was captured after escaping from the orphanage. Suspicious-looking men in black suits and sunglasses got out from the car. I realized it instantly. They must have been sent by one of my clients. Being involved in the development of a biological weapon, being the main person responsible for it, and on top of that, being mentally unstable. They obviously don't want me walking around freely. They're going to abduct me, seal me in concrete, and erase my existence. Or so I thought. I expected them to grab me and shove me into the car. But surprisingly, they bowed deeply to me instead.
Are you the Vice Administrator of the Irie Institute, Major Mio Takano? Normally, yes. I'm just a drunk loser at the moment, though. There is someone who would like to meet with you. Could you please come along with us? Even if I refuse, you're going to take me along anyway, right?
I'll be killed anyway. I can't make my grandfather's wish come true, even if I live. Cynical thoughts like that ran through my head. Then the person in the back seat said, young woman,
we won't force you, but I'm sure we can help.
I've never met this young woman before. She must be around my age. She knows about the Irie Institute, so she must be somehow connected to my clients. She's too young to be one herself. I bet a client who doesn't want to expose himself sent her. Even if I live, I can't make my grandfather a god. I can't be a god myself, either. Who cares about where a loser like me gets killed anyway? I made up my mind and got into the back seat. As soon as I got in, the luxurious car smoothly took off. Silence filled the car for a time. They're the ones that invited me. I don't have anything to say myself.
Long time no see. Though I'm sure you don't remember. We met in passing at Koizumi-sensei's funeral. Oh, we did? Sorry, I don't remember.
There were so many people at that funeral. I can't recall any of them. Why is that what she's opening with? Does that mean she belongs to the Koizumi faction?
Koizumi-sensei was very active as one of the opinion leaders during the post-war restoration. You can't begin to talk about the way the country is today without mentioning his accomplishments. When we were rebuilding the country from the burnt fields after the war, our nation's supporters were united. But unfortunately, it's hard to say that now. As our time of peace grew longer and we started seeing the generation who didn't remember the burnt fields become key national figures, we saw a decline in those who understood the noble intentions we started with. As the final remaining member of those noble men, Koizumi-sensei was the central pillar guiding us into the 21st century. After his death, the Koizumi faction quickly fell. As a result, other factions are extending their influence, leading everything to become quite a mess, right?
I heard about these things from Jiro-san. It's really no different from the Sengoku era. When a lord or military leader died back then, the struggle to become his successor brought chaos to the nation. This country hasn't changed for hundreds of years.
Exactly. Unfortunately, while we built peaceful Japan into a comfortable place to live, the noble intentions that guided us from the outset have been forgotten. Right now, various factions are fighting in Tokyo over the seat left behind by Koizumi-sensei. If Koizumi-sensei and the other deceased servicemen ever found out about this, they'd be so disappointed. What does that have to do with me? Aren't you the biggest victim of all this? I think you've had enough experiences with sudden shifts in the wind, haven't you?
It's true that our research began because of Koizumi-sensei's support, and the pressures we faced under the anti-Koizumi faction have been tempestuous and cold. Maybe for them, every project that Koizumi-sensei left behind is an eyesore, regardless of what that project is. In other words, that simply means they rejected the research itself, doesn't it? Come to think of it, something like this happened to my grandfather, too. Back then, Koizumi brought authorities from various fields to see him. They talked down to my grandfather, despite the praise they'd given earlier. Koizumi-sensei told me that the masterminds were responsible for that.
It's not too much of a stretch to say that your research into Hinamizawa syndrome is the #1 leader in terms of funding, organization,
and so forth in terms of projects within the Alphabet Project. Therefore, it's been made into a scapegoat by those people who want to monopolize the interests of the project.
A scapegoat?
What I mean is that your research into Hinamizawa syndrome isn't what they rejected. What's important to them isn't the content, but the faction leading the project. I wanted to tell you that today.
In the end, I'm just a sacrificial goal put up for everyone to see, huh? It doesn't matter what I research. The only thing they care about is that we belong to the Koizumi faction.
That's correct. The faction in control is like the direction of the wind. Sometimes it's a tailwind and sometimes it's a headwind. Unfortunately, once the direction changes, it's not easy to turn it back around.
So you're saying it won't be easy to bring my hostile clients back?
That's correct. The Alphabet Project has been taken over completely. All of the directors have been replaced, and they're only interested in fulfilling their own desires, rather. From the very beginning, they had no intention of listening to your explanation. I grasped my knees, remembering that humiliating day. Let me change the subject for now. What would you consider the objective of your research, Takano-san?
Huh? That is... to fulfill my intellectual curiosity.
Isn't it the promise you made with the late Dr. Takano, who you looked up to as your grandfather? Well, that's surprising. Koizumi-sensei once told me that this fact could become a hindrance, so I've never told any of my clients about it. How did she find out? If they know that, maybe they know a lot more about us than I think.
Where did you hear about that?
Koizumi-sensei told me.
What?
We're not your enemies, please relax. We're here to help you. I don't know who she really is, but I know she's here because she wants something from me. So what is it that she wants? She knows about the relationship between my grandfather and me, so I can't be careless. But in order for us to help you, we need to have you tell us the truth. In other words, we want you to be honest.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
What is your true purpose in researching Hinamizawa syndrome? To have my grandfather's masterpiece acknowledged for what it is, and to have him become a god. Isn't it to have the world acknowledge the late Dr. Takano's research, and to get revenge against those who trampled upon and looked down on the articles your grandfather wrote with all his heart? I'm reaching the limit of not letting my surprise show on my face. How much does this woman know about me? In the first place, who is she? How does she know everything I'm thinking? I can't admit that out loud in any case. I have appearances to consider. But while this elegant woman was wearing an angelic smile, she laughed with the devil's seductive whisper, several times better at it than I am. A simple smile and a devilish grin are completely different. An ordinary smile means goodwill, but a malicious smirk means the complete opposite. This woman can read my deepest thoughts, and while doing so, she's testing me to see how honest I can be with her. Whether I tell her the truth or not isn't the issue here. She's testing me to see if I can trust her enough to confess everything. If I've completely misunderstood, please forgive me. We'll take you to the nearest train station. That'd be Gogura Station, wouldn't it?
Well...
On the other hand, if what I'm saying is somewhere close to what you're feeling, I think we can help each other. What do you think, Mio Takano-san? I can't say anything in reply, but I think that simply remaining silent might also be an answer. I want to hear what she wants from me. I've always phrased my objective as some vague idea of turning my grandfather into a god, but she's just taught me what my true objective is. I want to get revenge for my grandfather's suffering. I want those people to fight over the right to read the article they once trampled on and mocked. I want them to believe, no, to worship, every single word my grandfather left behind. That is my true objective. This woman has stated out loud that which I have only whispered within myself. She even asked me if she was correct. Is this woman an angel or a devil? If I'm a human, is she in existence above me? Your misfortune was that you didn't understand your true objective. That's why you couldn't achieve anything. You set an abstract goal like uncovering the mysteries of Hinamizawa syndrome, which could never be achieved.
so you couldn't help but to question the meaning of your own life. Isn't that right? That's wrong. Your actual objective, your earnest dream, isn't so abstract. Can you imagine? Just think of the scene. The true leaders of this nation are reading your grandfather's article. While shocked at its contents, they believe all of it without even a hint of doubt. These people humbly read the article with footprints on its back. They express their research at the insightfulness of his research, and tremble in fear at its implications. What do you think? Were you able to imagine it? This is my first time envisioning something like this. And yet it's been my dream all along. Your grandfather is the one who named the Hinamizawa syndrome, yes? That name will echo in every corner of this nation, and will be carved into eternity. Carved into eternity? For all time? Indeed. Your grandfather's masterpiece will be remembered forever. Isn't that the dream you've devoted your whole life to realizing? My grandfather's masterpiece will be remembered forever. Remembered forever. And yet, those pigs who couldn't understand turned your dream into a sacrifice, simply because of the factional conflicts of interest. They're even trying to trample it into the ground. Just like how they kept trampling on your grandfather's article. See? You must be full of regret. The data you've worked so hard for is indeed the same as the article your grandfather did his best to produce. You can't forgive the people who laughed at it. You can't forgive those pigs who ridiculed your grandfather's masterpiece, right? Aren't I right? Oh, I know I am. But you didn't think about that. Because you're so kind as to not know how to condemn people, see? An indescribable emotion is filling me, making me feel like I'm suffocating. The sensation of being cautious and calm, of trust and mistrust, are all blending together. My heart is beating fast and my fingertips are shaking. Why am I at peace? Is it because she reminded me of my true dream that I couldn't express with my own words until now? Is it because she made me aware of the anger within myself? Why am I hesitant? Is it because she's reminded me of things I've never told anyone until now? No, those are the things I've never even told myself. Hey, Mio-san. If what I'm saying isn't wrong, but is in fact completely true, I know I can help you with both your dream and revenge. What's the matter? Are you feeling alright? If that's the case, I shouldn't keep you. We'll take you to the nearest station. No! A small noise leaked pathetically out of my mouth, like a child apologizing for a prank. Did you say something? I know she heard me. The woman smiled, trying to make me say it again. That's not it. I'm doing perfectly fine. I'm glad. Let's continue then. If that is in fact my dream, then what can you do? I'll help you with both of your vengeances. One is revenge for your grandfather. We will make those people who ridiculed your grandfather's article humbly take it into their hands once again, the one they violated. The other is revenge against the board of directors for trampling over your research, simply because of their factional conflicts. Revenge against the filthy pigs who tried to stomp on not only your work, but on your life as well. Getting revenge against the board of directors by having them read my grandfather's article. We'll be honest with you too. We're helping you because our interests are the same. We can't allow the project that Koizumi-sensei established for the sake of Japan's future be eaten up by these lowlifes after his death. If we had more power, we wouldn't have allowed that scum to become involved at all. However, the wind started blowing in a different direction, and the project can no longer express Koizumi-sensei's ideals. It has become a pigsty for them to satisfy their own desires. Koizumi-sensei, who gave them the name Alphabet Project, would not have wished for it to remain this way. The project should have been shut down the minute it deviated from his ideals. So you're trying to make the sacrificial sheep of the factional conflict into a wolf, are you?
If you choose to keep your grandfather's article hidden away in your heart, then I won't force you. No, I won't let that happen. I don't mind falling to the ground myself. But at least, my grandpa's article. Don't you want to make the article that represents you and your grandfather's lives into something that will last forever? After all, that's your dream, isn't it?
That's right. That's my reason to live.
We'll give you a chance to make your dream come true.
On the night I decided I was a loser in life and drowned myself in tears and alcohol after being abandoned by everything, I met someone who could be an angel or a devil. Is this divine salvation or the devil's seduction? I fought with the board of directors regarding the continuation of our research, but that was completely off target. That wasn't my true goal. My objective isn't to continue researching Hinamizawa syndrome. It's to have the world acknowledge my grandfather's research as a masterpiece. Somehow, the method for achieving that swapped places with my objective and caused me to misunderstand myself. The purpose of my life isn't to continue my grandfather's research. It's to get revenge and repay them for my grandfather's suffering. That's what this woman is saying. She's promising to make my grandfather's research eternal. She's also promising an opportunity to take revenge against those who laughed at it. When Uncle Koizumi died, I thought God was playing dice with my fate. But my unshakable conviction gathered together a power stronger than God's die. So maybe this meeting happened for a reason. Curse you, God. You're testing me again. I will overcome the death of Uncle Koizumi, and I will make my grandfather an eternal existence by taking revenge against the God who tested me. I will, for certain. I will take my revenge. Bwomp! Okay, there's no way I'm finishing the rest of the fragments in less than an episode, considering the fact that this fragment was like 25 minutes on its own. So, yeah, that's a bit yikers. But I should at least be able to finish one more, and if the remaining ones are truly that short, I don't know. Maybe I'll at least do the, probably Himatsubushi one first, but we'll see. Time for the 42nd fragment, June 1983. June 1983. With this, do I have all the pieces lined up for 1983? It sure is a hard and exhausting job just lining up the pieces for the month of June. But finally I'm at the starting line, beginning from zero at last. Yet, seeing all these colorful fragments together, I realized just how many sentiments were intertwined around June 1983. I used to think that thoughts of people with no relation to me were useless, but I was wrong. Rika Furude did her best to overcome the fate of June 1983. She did two things. One was to get in touch with the Irie Institute, because she knew she would be protected there. Ironically, Takano from the Irie Institute was the one who wanted to kill her, but it was the best move for her at the time. And the other was to ensure that the Maebara family moved to Hinamizawa. It actually wasn't certain that the Maebara family would move here. They first decided to move here when the father felt something sentimental at the sight of us on the day he came to view the properties for sale. Therefore, it was necessary for us to play in that field. It was the trigger for the Maebara family's move. It took me so long to find that out, though. After turning various conditions on and off repeatedly, I finally realized that meeting Keiichi's father at that field was the cause. Keiichi Maebara is a very important rule for breaking Rule Z, one of the chains that was binding me. Which one was Rule Z again? He is the fresh air that's powerful enough to break all the old and evil customs in this village. He created many opportunities, but he also provided me with an important clue by letting me know that a strong conviction and the will to believe is what's important in standing up against a powerful fate. But I wasn't the only one who wanted him here. People in the Sonozaki family who wanted to wipe out the nastier traditions of the village also wished for him. Mio and Sonozaki vowed to herself to protect Satoko and Satoshi because she was very much bothered by how irrational the treatment of the Hojo family was. And on the night Satoshi Hojo disappeared, she exploded at Oryo Sonozaki and voiced her true feelings. Oryo Sonozaki understood. Oryo herself had come to understand the wicked customs of the village, and had been wanting to do something about it. But she didn't have the power to do so herself, so she entrusted it to the fresh air that was blowing in from the outside. That was why the lots went on sale, so the Maebara family could move in. Even if I danced in that field, if Oryo hadn't put the lots on sale, Keiichi couldn't have come. And Rena Ryugu, who provided many opportunities for Keiichi Maebara, was saved by returning to Hinamizawa after the deep emotional trauma of her parents' divorce sent her into terminal condition. Keiichi Maebara's wish to restart his life was the same wish Rena Ryugu had a year prior. Maybe that's why Rena was able to understand Keiichi. It's like the miracle where one can recognize moments in a certain fragment from another fragment. If they can use the lessons learned from one fragment, then humans won't make those mistakes. The game pieces will make their best moves, and the chances of winning this game of June 1983 will rapidly increase. In other words, Rena Ryugu makes extremely important moves on this game board without realizing it. The mighty Rule Z that surrounded the Hojo siblings was eventually smashed by their actions. Of course, Satoko overcoming herself was also a big help. Their hands met only because they reached from both sides. Keiichi and Rena are the ones who taught me that. Mion is the one who made it possible for them to move here, and she also helped them to become familiar with the village. That's not all. Irie is also an important piece with significant functions of his own. Feeling empathy for Satoko, he is the most influential piece on the board we call Hinamizawa Syndrome. His existence is capable of defeating Rule X. Keiichi and Rena's determination and subsequent awakening taught us that it was possible to fight against Rule X, but they didn't defeat it. Defeating Rule X requires the existence of Irie, who has the strong will to discover a cure for the syndrome. I didn't know Irie held this many thoughts within him. I always thought he was rather absent-minded, but he is, in fact, an important and powerful piece. So if we gather all this power, can we win against Takano's will? I've seen Takano's thoughts too. Sadly, her will is strong and can't be easily broken. It's no wonder our fate in June 1983 has been so hard to shake, no matter how hard we fought. The sentiments I've been turning towards it pale in comparison to how many she's brought into it. The weight of our game pieces are different, because I've given up on fighting while she has been risking her life to fight on. I've spent time sulking and drinking wine to escape from reality. It must be a very light piece indeed. I can't win against Takano with what I have so far. I need more pieces to be able to win. The Officer Oishi once showed the possibility of becoming a strong... Oh. Wait. Huh? The Officer Oishi once showed the possibility of becoming a strong ally. I know what you're trying to say, but the wording is wrong. But he's under the misunderstanding... Wait. Oh, the Officer Oishi! Okay, I thought it was referring to Akasaka. The Officer Oishi once showed the possibility of becoming a strong ally. But he's under the misunderstanding that the Sonozaki family caused the death of his dear friend. So until that gets resolved, he won't be of any help. I don't know how I can resolve that misunderstanding. But I just have to believe in it and keep throwing the die. Just like Keiichi and Rena constitute a chance to change fate, maybe Akasaka has the power to create a chance as well. The curse of 1983 is tied to the curse of Hinamizawa. A curse can't be broken by inner power alone. It takes power from outside as well. Both sides have to reach out, otherwise the hands won't meet, just like what happened with Satoko. But Akasaka has never come to our aid. Even if he did, it was always too late. Too late, far too late. But if I keep throwing the die, will Akasaka's game piece eventually appear? The final rule, Rule Y, involves the evil masterminds who are using Takano as their own game piece. To defeat them, I need a very strong opponent for her. And the only one I can think of is none other than Akasaka from the police headquarters in Tokyo. There are more pieces who would lend me their power. I need to gather them all, otherwise I can't win against Takano. The preparation of the game board is complete, but I need more pieces. It's only the beginning. Okay, that means the game board's prepared, yeah! The game board is prepared. Yeah, so that means there's only 8 pieces, fragments left. Fragment of Himatsubushi, Onikakushi, Sumihoroboshi, Watanagashi, Meakashi, Tatari Garoshi, Minagroshi, and Matsuribayashi. Yeah! Okay. So, I guess I'm gonna end this episode here. We're almost at an hour, and I really, almost fell. I really doubt I'll be able to finish these 8 fragments within, like, 20 minutes, but if I am, then we'll do it next episode, so, yeah. Either way, that's gonna be it for this episode, guys. If you liked it, then be sure to press the like button, and if you didn't like it, then fuck you too. Remember to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on all my videos and stuff. And as always, my name is Godzi, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye! Yeah.